What's up, guys? This is Ray J back with another video. And this one, I want to break down the two big pieces of news coming out that could be affecting Tesla for today. I'm also going to talk about what's happening with other factors involving the charts. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or sign up with my QR code that's right over here. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth in Nvidia. If you deposit $10,000, you're going to get $300 worth, and deposit $50,000 for $1,000 of free Nvidia stock. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends very, very soon. So be ready for some interesting volatility. Now, when it comes to the way the market's moving, I just want to say that Tesla's kind of flat right here. We're watching this 321 area. If we reclaim this, we're looking for 325. But if we can't hold above it, there's going to be a risk of us returning back down to like 315. So overall, we're kind of stuck in the middle. Now, there's two pieces of news affecting us. Number one, we have the big guy Jerome Powell giving a speech today at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 30 minutes after the stock market opens, we have Jerome Powell's speech. Secondly, there's a big announcement that just came out by the White House that President Trump is going to be making a major Oval Office announcement today at noon. So at noon as well, at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 hours after Jerome Powell, this guy is going to be giving a speech as well. And he's going to be making a major announcement. So we're going to see if this affects the markets. That could also be very, very impactful. So as far as Tesla's going, if we hold above 321, we could attempt for 325, but then we're going to see if it rejects or not. If we can't hold 320, we're going to be at risk of returning back down to 316. Now, there's been some news that came out about with Tesla. With Tesla's most expensive Cybertruck variant, the price is now, they have one option, which is going to be $15,000 more expensive than before because that's going to be including FSD with the new Lux package for the Cyber Beast variant. It's also going to be including supervised full FSD and then free access to its supercharging network. However, at the same time, Tesla's been offering hefty discounts of around $10,000 on some Cybertruck units in their inventory, so that's another important piece of news. And then on top of this, the NHTSA is investigating whether Tesla correctly reported crashes tied to the autopilot and FSD. The regulators also said that they had some issues with data collection that has now been once again fixed. And then Tesla and the NHTSA did not really respond to a request for comment. So for now, that's some important news as we're seeing federal regulators looking into Tesla and investigating. Today is Friday, August 22nd. We have Jerome Powell's speech at the Jackson Hole Symposium. And what this guy says could really shake the markets. So we're going to see how this affects the Fed's overall watch tools. So are we going to see a higher probability of a cut? Do we see a lower one? I think Jerome Powell is going to give us some insights. There's three scenarios. If Jerome Powell is more hawkish, if he once again, continues to talk about how the Fed has to be very, very careful, with the concerns to inflation and such. That could be a bit more bearish to the markets. Despite some selling this past week in AI chips, this could leave the market more vulnerable according to what we're seeing so far. The second scenario is he's more dovish. If he's more dovish, and once again, he talks about how there could be future earnings growth, and he once again talks about how there could be potential cuts coming. This could be very bullish for the stock market. And then if he just meets expectations, if once again it's very, very boring, he just does what everyone expects him to, that would basically confirm a rate cut in September and then another one by the end of the year. The stock market can see a bit of a mixed reaction, possibly sell the news, but we'll see. So it depends on what the big guy says. There's three scenarios. We'll get ready for what Jerome Powell has to tell us. Secondly, there is some more news. So at 10 a.m., Jerome Powell speaks. Then at noon, President Trump is going to be giving a major announcement. We're going to see if that affects the markets. So be ready just to be safe. There are a lot of puts expiring today. We have a 638 max pain. We have basically 200,000 calls and about over 700 plus thousand puts expiring. 3.39 is the put to call option ratio. And there's not really much else on the news. For now, we're just waiting for what Jerome Powell has to say. I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy. There was some news about Nvda about how the company is talking with the US government about selling a more advanced chip to China. But there are some pieces of news saying that they might suspend production related to its H20 chip. So we'll see if that ends up happening. They might be making some big changes with their Chinese sales. Besides that, now we're just going to focus on what's happening with Tesla. So as far as Tesla's going, this might try to push upon open. Let's see if 321 holds. If so, we could try to push a bit higher for 325. But notice that we just keep rejecting. If we reject off 325, we could just turn right back down. If we don't hold 321, we could also just turn back down to 316. So this is the most likely possibility, but we'll see just to be safe. Hold above 321, we're looking for 325 to break to push higher. But if we end up failing and we can't hold above 320, we're looking for 315 as first targets. This is favoring upside, and we'll see if we turn back down. So be very, very mindful. In terms of SPY, we're trying to bounce a little bit, but be careful because there is the possibility of a left shoulder, head, and a right shoulder. We could push for 638. If 639 breaks, I think we easily push for the 640s. But if we can't break 639 and we end up projecting and we lose 635, expect 633 or below. This remains the most likely possibility, but we'll see with Jerome Powell. Does he push us back up to the 640s or do we reject? There's a possible head and shoulders, but anything could happen. So watch your levels. Break 639, we're bullish. Lose 635, we're going to be favoring 633 or below. So we'll see if we get a rejection or not. For now, we're bouncing. The QQQ is also going to bounce towards 566 to 568. Then we'll see, are we going to form a head and shoulders and reject right back down to below 560? Or do we break past 568 and start pushing even higher? It depends on what Jerome Powell and President Trump say. We might push a bit, but the odds do favor us getting some kind of rejection. Jerome Powell is more likely to cause downside than upside, but we'll see just to be safe, so be ready. For the IWM, we're pushing a bit higher. We could be looking for 228. We're going to see if that breaks. If it does, we're looking for 230. Then we'll see if we turn back down. On ES, we also have a nice looking bounce. We could be attempting to push back up towards 64.20. We'll see if that breaks. If not, we could reject. Look for some temporary upside nonetheless. On NQ, there's upside potential here. We could be looking for 23,400, and we'll see if we turn back down. Look for a temporary push for 23,300 to 23,400, and we'll see how it ends up going from there. Bitcoin's on a downtrend, as you guys can tell. Might retest 113,000 and dump back down to 111,000. For Nvda, we're technically gapping down with the news that came out. We'll see if this bounces for 174 and then rejects, or if it just fails at 170 and dumps. It could go either way. Apple's trying to bounce as long as we're above 226. We're favoring an attempt for essentially 227.5 to 228. And then we're going to see if this is forming a head and shoulders. This could be a left shoulder, head and right shoulder if we get a rejection. So be careful in case that ends up happening. For Netflix, there's a possible head and shoulders. We need to hold above 1200 to bounce. If not, we could be dipping a lot lower. Supermicro is starting to dip again with the chip news, but I want to see if this could bounce back up to about 42.5, and we'll see if it rejects. AMD, same thing, it's dipping down. We need to get back above at least 166. If we don't, we might consolidate around 164 before we continue to dip. For a few more, we have Coinbase. This is also consolidating. It might be retesting essentially 302.5 before it turns back down. For Amazon, we have a left shoulder, head and then a right shoulder. We could be once again looking for a small rebound. We're going to see if it consolidates. Can we break past 225 to be bullish? Or do we kind of consolidate and reject? This does look a bit more probable, but we'll see just to be safe. Meta might be trying to push for essentially 750. It's forming a base, and we'll see if it breaks out. If not, it could reject and turn back down to 725. Google's looking more bullish, favoring 205, and we'll see if it rejects. And then Meta has 510 as resistance, and then 502 as our support. Could be pushing back up to 508 to 510, and we'll see if we turn back down from there, so be very careful. The VIX also has an inverse head and shoulders, but for now, it is dipping. It could be dipping towards 15.86 as the market bounces, but watch and see if we get a breakout or not later on. If we break 17.1, that's bullish for the VIX, but if we lose 15.8, it's bearish. Could go either way. I do think it dips a bit and consolidates, and we'll see if it breaks out up or down, depending on Jerome Powell's speech. But I do favor this a bit more, at least technically speaking. So technicals do favor that we might dip and consolidate and eventually try to break out, which could favor that the market may have downside in the future. But for now, let's see how high we go. Let's see what Jerome Powell causes. The market may push a bit, and then we'll see if you reject. Tesla may also try to push for 325, 321 holds, but watch to see if you get a rejection or not. We need to break 325 to be bullish. We'll see what Jerome Powell has to say. So we're going to take this one step at a time. What this guy says could cause a lot of volatility, so be ready. At 10 a.m., his speech starts very soon. Get ready, guys. Do what you have to do, and peace out.